welcome back. It's Christy. It's Friday. I hope you all are doing great and have amazing plans for your weekend. I didn't get a video up last week for this series, and that was because the case I'm going to talk about today, he went to court on Tuesday, and I kind of wanted to wait and see what happened. So I'm sorry about that, but here we are. Little football talk before we get started. So last week my Sooners played Kent State, and I was kind of concerned because at first they came out and they looked really sluggish, tired, and like our first game, like they were on fire. I mean, they were on fire for the whole game. And then this game they came out and it looked like a completely different team, and I'm like, oh crap. I mean, it should have been an easy win, right? I don't know what happened at halftime. I don't know what coach said, but they came out and completely different gameplay, and we ended up winning. It was like, I think 33-3. So good ending, rough start. I was a little concerned. Then my Cowboys game. Oh my goodness. So we were playing, don't hate me because I'm beautiful, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who I can't stand. Well, it's not so much the Buccaneers, it's Tom Brady. I can't stand Tom Brady. So if you're a Tom Brady fan, I'm sorry, but yeah. So everybody's doing pretty good. Like, we had a really good first drive, and then, of course, as the Cowboys like to do to me, they screwed it up. And so our defense was doing a really good job, and we were holding them to field goals, and we got a field goal. But defense alone cannot win you a football game. I mean, unless they're making a lot of interceptions and running them in for touchdowns. I mean, I guess in theory it's possible that defense could win you a football game, but you kind of need your offense to help, right? And our offense was just a mess. Just a mess. And then Dak ends up getting hurt. And then he has to have surgery. And so now he's out. And now we have to depend on our backup, who is Cooper Rush. And what I've seen of him, I'm not super impressed. And the Cowboys, their history with backup quarterbacks is not great. We've had a couple that have come in and it's like, wow, you know, why haven't we been using this guy all along? But it's few and far between. So this week they play the Bengals, and I don't know. I'm not super hopeful. I mean, maybe Cooper Rush will surprise me. You know, Jerry Jones is like super excited about this guy, but I am of the opinion it's kind of time maybe Jerry Jones take a step back, because I question his judgment a lot. I really do. Love my Cowboys, but some of the decisions they make, like the one that kills me to this day, and watching the game the other night was just killing me, was why did we get rid of Amari Cooper? Of all people, why did we get rid of Amari Cooper? We really could have used Amari Cooper in that game, but it is what it is at this point. And OU is playing Nebraska, which is exciting because back in the day, that was like a huge rivalry. It was a great game. Like, we were stationed in Nebraska when I was little with my parents. We were stationed in Nebraska, and like, you know, you didn't want to have a Sooner sticker on your car. I mean, it was serious. I mean, they took it serious. Like, football is a huge deal down here in Oklahoma. It's huge, and we do take it seriously. It's like a second religion almost. But yeah, it was a big deal. You know, you always looked forward to the game. And then I don't know what happened in Nebraska, but you know, they kind of hit like a dry spell that lasted for a really long time. I'm hearing they may have a good team, so I'm hoping it'll be a good game. So kind of looking forward to watching that one tomorrow. Okay, so why we're here today is because of what Kevin Ware did to this beautiful girl that you see next to me, Taylor Pomaski. I have this number up here because she was in a DV relationship with Ware. And if you or someone you know is in a situation like that and you need help, this hotline is available 24/7. So please use it. I have dealt not with my amazing husband, but in my past, I have been in a DV relationship, and I know the mind games, and I know how difficult it can be. And the most dangerous time in those relationships is honestly when you decide to leave. It's really, it's scary. And it's one of those, they get into the, well, you're not going to leave me, and if I can't have you, nobody can. And it's frightening. So if you're at that point, call this hotline and see how they can help you get out. And honestly, that's kind of my theory in this case, because Taylor had expressed to friends that, especially her friend Eric, that she was in this relationship, that was going on, and she knew she needed to get out. She wanted to get out. She was ready to get out. And I'm just kind of wondering, after I read you what we're going to go over in this video, if the night of the party that she went missing, had she finally just been like, enough, I'm leaving. And that's when he turned on her and ended up taking her away from her amazing family and friends and denying the world the opportunity to be blessed with Taylor. If you haven't watched my first video about this case, I encourage you to go back and watch it, because I get into a lot of details about who Taylor was as a person. Because in these cases, I feel like she is more important than he is, right? He is a piece of scum who did this awful thing to this amazing person. And I really want you to know the amazing person so you can really wrap your mind around what a huge loss this is to everyone, and why what he did is so horrible. And like I said, in that video, I really talk a lot about her as a person, her family relationships, her friendships, her beloved dog, Molly. And after the video, I'm not going to read it all, but I got a message from Taylor's dad, and it meant the world to me, because this is why I do this. I do this to bring awareness to cases that don't always get it. I do this for the victims and their families, because they deserve to have their stories told and understood. And these stories have value to others. And he sent me a message, and like I said, I'm not going to read it all, but when I finished reading it, I looked at my husband and I'm like, this is why I do what I do. I don't do this for money, or fame. I don't want to be YouTube famous necessarily, but this is why. And he says, Taylor was an absolutely wonderful girl, and it truly makes me and Leslie happy seeing people share positive thoughts about her. Here go the dogs again. I don't comment much publicly these days because depending on where I say things, the scum of the earth seem to come crawling out, sadly. And that makes me so mad. They have the right to speak about their wonderful daughter without people coming at them. Just because this guy is a former football player, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make him any better than you or I at all. And after what he did, and this wasn't his first offense by any means. Like I said, go back and watch the other video. He has a long history. He's worse than you and I. He doesn't deserve to have people out there saying things on his behalf to her family, trying to make them feel bad when he's the one that did something wrong. So that really upsets me. He went on to say, not a day goes by that I don't cry thinking of my sweet girl. I honestly felt that this was her year, where she would find her direction and make the steps to improve and grow. Sadly, the bastard took her from us and those who loved her. And I think he's right. Taylor was interested in things. She was making steps towards what she wanted to do, to finding her niche in life, to really start. She had the chance to live and learn and all of this, and she was finally in a place where she was ready to really, start living her life, doing what she wanted to do, making a huge difference in this world, and she was denied that by Kevin Ware. So, like I said, I don't really want to get into all of the specifics of the case again. If you aren't familiar with it, please go watch the other video and then come back to this one. So thank you to the docket, as always, for my documents. Chasing Paper on Twitter. If you like documents as much as I do, that's the place to go. They worked on this so hard for me because this was sealed for so long, and they kept a check on it for me because we really felt like, it's public record. We have the right to know, like, what did this piece of crap do? What exactly? I mean, we know that he killed Taylor. We know that. But when we found out the details, it's disturbing. And the fact that he's facing 15 years minimum is disgusting. I hope he gets life and never has a chance for a parole, because this guy, he's been given chance after chance after chance with the justice system, and he just keeps doing the same things over and over. And he was out on bond when he did this. This guy does not deserve to see the outside of the prison walls again. He doesn't. He obviously has not learned. He's been in trouble since high school. He doesn't learn, and he's not gonna learn. And I honestly think if he gets out again, I don't care how old he is, he will hurt somebody else. Absolutely. So this was his mugshot. There's one even where he's smiling, but it makes me angry, so I'm not going to put that up there. But I thought, in honor of, it's almost fall, right? So let's put this up where he's looking like a big old pumpkin in his orange jumpsuit. I mean, have you watched Charlie Brown? the Halloween one, where they're at the party and Lucy has him sit down and his head's nice and round, so they're drawing out like how they want to make their pumpkin, how they want to do their jack-o'-lantern. You could do that on this big ass belly of his. I mean, he looks like a giant pumpkin. And personally, I would love to be the one that got to carve. Just saying. That's how much this case makes me angry. So, okay, so we've got the big pumpkin, right? All right, so let's start looking at these documents really quick. Buckle up, y'all. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the duly organized grand jury of Harris County, Texas, presents in the District Court of Harris County, Texas, that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., hereafter styled the defendant, heretofore on or about April 28, 2021, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause the death of Taylor Pomaski, hereinafter called the complainant, by cutting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a knife. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., hereinafter styled the defendant, heretofore on or about April 28, 2021, did then and there unlawfully intend to cause serious bodily injury to Taylor Pomaski, hereinafter called the complainant, and did cause the death of the complainant by intentionally and knowingly committing an act clearly dangerous to human life, namely by cutting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a knife. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., hereinafter styled the defendant, heretofore on or about April 28, 2021, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause the death of Taylor Pomaski, hereinafter called the complainant, by striking the complainant with and against a deadly weapon, namely a blunt object. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., I'm not going to go through that all again, on or about April 28th, 2021, did then and there unlawfully intend to cause serious bodily injury to Taylor Pomaski, and did cause the death of Taylor by intentionally and knowingly committing an act clearly dangerous to human life, namely by striking the complainant with and against a deadly weapon, namely a blunt object. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., on or about April 28th, 2021, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause the death of Taylor Pomaski by strangling the complainant. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr. Sorry, I'm home alone and they're trying to protect me, I guess. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., on or about April 28th, 2021, did then and there unlawfully intend to cause serious bodily injury to Taylor Pomaski, and did cause the death of Taylor by intentionally and knowingly committing an act clearly dangerous to human life, namely by strangling Taylor. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr., on or about April 28th, 2021, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause the death of, hang on while I switch to the next page, Taylor Pomaski by a manner and means unknown to the grand jury. It is further presented that in Harris County, Texas, Kevin Ware Jr. styled the defendant heretofore on or about April 28th, 2021, did then and there unlawfully intend to cause serious bodily injury to Taylor Pomaski, knowingly committing an act clearly dangerous to human life, namely by a manner and means unknown to the grand jury. And unfortunately, what he did, I have more detail that we will get into. But first, let's look at this. So, this is the state of Texas versus Kevin Ware Jr. Motion to deny bail for a non-capital offense. And they've marked on here, the defendant is accused of a felony less than capital in this state involving the use of a deadly weapon after being convicted of a prior felony. So they have requested no bail for him for the murder. Apparently it's going to go back into court. We're going to talk about that. I'm not going to put the pumpkin back up. Let's focus on Taylor. Because I want you to see this beautiful face, this beautiful woman, as I'm describing the horrific things that this monster did to her. He's huge. He's like 300 pounds. I can't remember. Let me see. I have his weight here, and it I'm pretty sure I do. But he is like 3 times her size, basically. You know, she's a small woman. He is a big man. And he did these horrendous things to her. And like I said, I want you to focus on this beautiful person who is sadly no longer with us, and remember that it's because of that monster. So, I didn't write notes in my monster notebook this time because I just wanted to go through this article from the Houston Chronicle because it really laid it out in a way that I like, that it was similar to what I would normally do. So it says, former NFL athlete Kevin Ware told a woman that he cut the throat of his missing girlfriend Taylor Pomaski in the shower and burned her body, investigators revealed in court records. So he was in bed with this woman, and he's telling her this horrific story of what he did to Taylor, and showed her a photo on his phone of a fire. And this was all revealed in a warrant that was used in December by Harris County Sheriff's Office to search the property where Pomaski's remains were found by Texas EquiSearch. As I said, Pomaski vanished after an April party at their home. An associate judge ordered Tuesday that the 41-year-old defendant be temporarily held without bail on the murder charge Tuesday after reading the search warrant and several other documents prosecutors provided. The prosecutor, Lacey Johnson, said several witnesses in the case would feel unsafe should Ware be freed. And I mean, yeah, of course they would, right? I mean, imagine that you're there, you're this woman, and you're there with Ware. For starters, how does this come up even just in conversation? Like, did she already do something that ticked him off? And was this a conversation of like, yeah, well, you know what I did to her? And showing the pictures and like, you want to be next? I'll do it to you too, kind of thing. You know, I could totally see the pumpkin doing that. Totally. So, yeah, if I was a witness in this, I'd be scared of him because, like I said, he has all these prior convictions and, slaps on the wrist, and just continues to perpetuate these same behaviors. So, now he has escalated to murder, a very violent murder. So I could see why people could be fearful of him if he was out. So temporarily on bail, I hope it becomes permanent, because this guy, he doesn't deserve to be out. He could hurt somebody else or potentially flee. And we don't need that. We don't need anybody else getting hurt by this guy. And we definitely don't want him to flee, because Taylor and her family deserve justice. So let's continue. In addition to the no bail order, Judge Tiffany Hill ordered Ware be held on a combined $550,000 on charges of tampering with evidence, in this case a corpse, and unlawful possession of a weapon. Ware's attorney, Neil Davis III, argued that he be held at a lower amount and that he could stay at a relative's spring home should he make bond. He can argue for a judge to set bond once the order expires in 60 days. So, when he was arrested prior to Taylor being killed, they reduced his bond and he got out on bond. And it was just days before this party happened, and then Taylor went missing. Why would the judge or any court in their right mind reduce his bail again to where he could get out? When you reduced his bond, he got out, and this is the result. If he had been held on that bond, that could have been the time Taylor needed to get out and get away from him. But instead, he got to come home within, I think it was a day. I'd have to go back and look, but it is in the first video of how much it was reduced and how quickly he got out. But he gets out on reduced bond and ends up murdering her. If you reduce his bond again and he gets out, I don't care if he's staying with a relative. These relatives are probably sympathetic to him, or, some of these people that are saying unkind things to Taylor's family. So how is that any kind of punishment? Like, I'm supposed to believe that if he's there, then everybody's safe? No, I don't. And you reduce his bond and get him out, he could have somebody else go out and potentially hurt some of these witnesses. So this guy does not deserve reduced bond or any type of bond whatsoever. So we'll see what happens in that 60 days. It says Pomaski's relatives sat in the courtroom during the proceedings, but later declined to comment. Well, I wonder why. After the message that he sent me, I understand why they don't comment. I wouldn't want backlash either. I personally, you want to give me backlash? If you want to come at me and tell me like, oh, Kevin Ware is this great person, come at me. I'm here, but leave the family alone. So it says half a dozen search warrants, some aimed at searching Ware's home, vehicle, and phone, outline the months-long investigation into Pomaski's disappearance and the eventual discovery of her skeletal remains. He had been out on bond, on unrelated Montgomery County charges for less than a week at the time of an April 25th party that he hosted at the home for friends. The retired football player told authorities who visited him after Pomaski was reported missing that she attended the party but left with several other guys. And that's like one of 3 stories, I think, that I heard that he told. It's in the first video. She ditched her beloved Jack Russell Terrier and all her belongings, he said. Pomaski was rarely seen without her dog, according to her mother and at least one witness said. So this dog, like, you've heard of a dog mom. It really seems like she's the dog mom. Like, this dog was like her baby. She would not leave this dog. And that's backed up by her mom and this witness. Ware then claimed that Pomaski stole his French bulldog, according to court documents. So you mean to tell me that she left behind Molly, who she loved more than anything, and took your dog? I don't think so. But contrary to that statement, the woman who he confessed to and showed the pictures on his phone, she said Ware gave her his French bulldog. The deputies were at some point approached by a witness who said Ware, with a 6'4" stature and weighing about 330 pounds, had been beating Pomaski, who was a third of his weight. He refused to let her leave his home and fought off anyone who tried to intervene, the witness said. Now listen to this. He flashed a gun at the home during the party. Now remember, she goes missing right after the party. He flashed a gun at the home during the party and said, if anyone has a problem with the way he conducts his business, to let him know and he will put a effing bullet in your skull, the witness told investigators. This is not a person you want to let out on bond. The next month, police seized several guns and narcotics, cocaine, and methamphetamine from Ware's home. A frequent visitor to Ware's home told authorities he rarely sleeps and is always on methamphetamines. On the night of the party, he saw Ware slapping and choking Pomaski. He contends Ware locked the woman in a bathroom and came out with a knife. An arrest in June 2021 for a felon in possession of a weapon charge in Harris County prompted his return to Montgomery County on a warrant. He remained there until earlier this month. Court records in Montgomery County show authorities suspected early on that Ware was linked to Pomaski's disappearance and likely death. Prosecutors worried that Ware, as a former NFL player, would have the means to flee the country and ask the judge to increase or withhold bail. Ware played for Washington in 2003 and the San Francisco 49ers in 2004. The judge decided to keep him jailed without bond. A very smart judge. Police analyzed Ware's phone records in October as he remained at the Montgomery County Jail. Logs of calls and text messages revealed Ware contacted a man believed to be his drug dealer amid Pomaski's disappearance. A helicopter unit flew over a spring property that belongs to a man and discovered a large burn pile in an open field. A childhood friend of Ware told authorities he saw bones in a burn pile during a visit to the property. Some of the bones were large, he said. The friend went inside a home on the property and claimed to authorities that he saw human skulls inside. Skulls, plural. Police searched the property later in December and found Pomaski's skeletal remains. Bones were listed in court documents as being seized from the property, but skulls were not included, officials said. The property owner has not been charged with a crime. Investigators continue to determine whether additional people were linked to Pomaski's disappearance, Sheriff's Office spokesman Thomas Gilliland said. Pomaski's dog was never found, he continued. I thought the dog had been found, but maybe not. I must have misunderstood, because I thought when the mom had reported Taylor missing that she went to Ware's house to retrieve the dog, but I guess it actually didn't say if she got the dog or not. I know that he was like kind of uneasy acting about handing over the dog, so I don't know. But I thought her dog was with the parents. I don't know. If you guys are watching, let me know, because I'm confused about that now. But yeah, that's what the pumpkin did. And it is terrible. It is awful to think. Even just one of the things that he did to her is a nightmare to think about. But to think of all that he put her through is beyond disturbing. And he deserves the maximum punishment available. And I hope that that's what they're pushing for. And I hope in 60 days they don't decide to let this guy out on any type of bond. I don't care who he's staying with. I don't care if he's on electronic monitoring. I don't care about any of that because, like I said, he will find a way to hurt somebody, and I guarantee you he's going to find a way to flee. So keep this family in your thoughts and prayers, and pray for justice. Pray for the prosecutors in this case and the judge in this case to use their best judgment when dealing with this guy, that they will keep him right where he's at, which is right where he belongs. Like I said, keep her parents in your thoughts and prayers. This is a horrific thing for them to go through, and outside interference has not made it any easier. So just lift them up and pray for comfort, love, and justice, and the strength they need to get through this. So I want to thank you all for joining me here today to get the updates in Kevin Ware and Taylor's case. I will continue to follow it and provide further updates. I hope everybody's football team has a good weekend. I hope y'all have a good weekend. And as always, I will see you in the next one.